Welcome and thank you for joining us for another episode of Dashboard Dialogues. From everyone here at Dashboard Dialogues and Dealerslink, we'd like to wish you a Happy New Year. Today we're joined by Taylor Hollingsworth and Travis Wise. We're talking about the 2023 NADA show in Dallas, Texas. Make sure you stop by to see the guys at the booth, number 407. They are also having a private party at the YO Steakhouse. Make sure you stop by, take a demo to get invited to the exclusive and hottest party at NADA. All right, good morning and welcome to another episode of Dashboard Dialogues. This is our first episode of 2023. Super excited for this episode. I've got Travis Wise and Taylor Hollingsworth joining me today for a little discussion about NADA. Travis, how you doing today?
Excellent.
Taylor, how you doing?
Woke up above the dirt, so
better than yesterday. Grass from the right side. Okay,
yeah.
I like it. It's all about perspective, right?
Absolutely. Life is good.
All right. So we're about 2 weeks out from NADA, guys. How are you guys feeling about it?
Well, being it's going to be our largest investment and push at NADA ever, we're pretty excited.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Seeing the placement, seeing the excitement through the team, dealer community, everyone's excited.
Absolutely. Kind of speaking on the dealer community, last year was our first year back to NADA after a couple years off. The digital version, for lack of better terms, was not as successful as we would have all hoped, I would imagine. So second year back, we're going to Dallas. Dallas is kind of an unfamiliar territory for NADA for us, at least for me, for sure. What are we looking forward to most about Dallas NADA and what that show is going to bring to the industry?
No, I think being from the time that I spent in Dallas for a couple of years, working with a couple groups down there and selling cars and everything, it's exciting to see NADA go to a place like Dallas.
Right.
Just for the fact that you look at the state of Texas, you look at Dallas, it's a car mecca. It's insane. The amount of inventory they pump through that state and that city, and just the amount of good car dealers that are in that zone and in that state, the excitement should be massive. Expecting a big turnout from the Dallas crowd and all the dealers there in Texas as well. And I think it's, goes without saying, it's everything's bigger in Texas. So we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. Travis, what are your thoughts on it?
Same kind of thing. The car market in Dallas and that whole metroplex is just enormous. I mean, you go in there and 50, 60, 70,000 units for sale in just a small radius. So a lot of really big operators, a lot of key players. I think a lot of the industry goes into those areas and participates in those auctions to supply a good portion of the nation in vehicles moving in and out. So the fact that it's big, it's in Dallas, it's in a huge car market, a lot of great operators. I think it's just going to be a trifecta of a great show. So that's really what I'm foretelling and hoping comes to fruition.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's one of the things for me personally, going to NADA in Vegas and San Francisco, going to New Orleans, they're all very different demographics. In Dallas, I've been to Dallas. I've never experienced Dallas nightlife or anything like that. And I would imagine with the NADA crowd, it's going to be pretty popping in Dallas, more so than it normally is. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. Building off of that, Dealerslink, we're going to the show. We've got great booth placement, but we've got some additional products that we're going to be releasing, and we've got some things that we're going to be going out with. Some of the things that we know about, some of the things we don't know about. Travis, can you give us some information about
what I would never reveal a Black Ops. I wouldn't broadcast to the competition what we're doing to get an edge and how we're going to change the dealership operation and fundamentally the way we look at cars and utilize our tool. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag until
it was worth a shot.
Yeah, good
it
try.
was worth a shot here.
Good try. Yeah, I slipped right into that bear trap.
No, we do have some things coming, so definitely stay tuned for that. In terms of going back to NADA, looking at Dallas, the market, just in general, obviously things are changing. We've got a pretty serious correction going on in the market. JD Power is consistently going down. MMR values are going down. Market prices are still staying pretty stable, but we're starting to see those are starting to come down now as well to match kind of what's been going on in some of the other sectors. So, Taylor, give me some of your insights on what do you think the next 6 months is going to look like and what dealers should be looking for when they go to NADA?
Yeah, I think for the next 6 months, I think we're kind of stuck in this pendulum effect, right?
Sure.
So we had 2020, 2021, used car values swung way, way up. It was, I hate the word unprecedented, new normal, whatever that we want to talk about is. But, looking at all the market insights, like Black Book reported 2021, the used car market values were up 28%. 28% is a massive amount of money. And now we looked at 2022, it's starting to swing back the other direction, down 18% year over year versus that. So I imagine we'll continue in this kind of pendulum effect of supply demand until inventory levels have fully kind of normalized. We're starting to see those vehicles stack on lots. We're starting to see interest rates having the effect in the macroeconomics of, kind of curbing demand, having people struggle to afford some of these vehicles anymore, and the new car prices remaining high. But there's definitely hope for a lot of these dealers, especially with their inventory levels.
Right.
Now they're having more inventory to sell. They still have avenues to move off of this. As long as you're buying the right inventory, you're never in a bad situation. There's never a bad car to buy, just the wrong price to pay for it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I know you've got some to add on to that as well. So,
yeah, I think Taylor nailed it. It's never a bad car. It's just a bad price or wrong inventory, wrong location, something like that. The people out there that really embraced it, the dealers that dug in and kept doing business as normal and didn't shut down their operation for the fact that a price went up or a price went down.
Sure. Yeah.
So price is always going to go up or down. It's a commodity. So that's the expectation. It's if you buy when it's up at its peak, well, then you're probably going to suffer when it's coming down. If you sold enough through the peak time, then you're going to be fine when it comes down.
Sure.
If you made great money on the months it was going up and you actually were, buying and selling cars like an effective car dealer, well, then if you, have a correction and you have 100 cars on the ground, and let's just say that correction on average is 250,000 over the total inventory. Well, that sounds pretty egregious in 1 month, but if you had participated in the upward swing of the market, some guys made $500 million a month during the upswing of the market that continued to be car dealers, continued to buy and sell cars. The $250,000 swing on the backside is not an issue. It's kind of like gambling in Vegas. If you win 15 hands in a row and you rake that money into your pile and then you lose your initial investment finally up front, did you really lose? Well, the loss hurt, but if you profited all the way to that loss and did a good job,
the loss definitely doesn't sting as much. That's for sure.
It's just playing the market.
It's part of the business, right?
Yeah, it's part of the business. The prices will fluctuate. Wholesale prices will fluctuate. Market prices will fluctuate.
Right.
We just got spoiled.
Sure.
We got spoiled on that. The hockey. When she hockey stick, we partied, man. It's the car business.
Sure. No, it was definitely a hockey stick. I think we saw that little bit of a downtrend, and then it just went straight up through the roof. And now we are leveling off a little bit, as we've seen. The market's cooling off. The book values are cooling off in auctions, et cetera. Right. But when we speak of, we're going to NADA. And dealers, when they go to NADA, they're looking for specific things. Maybe they have a need, maybe they have a want, or they're just interested, right? So what are some of the things that you would look at would be beneficial for a dealer attending NADA?
Yeah, I think so. Talking about going to NADA from a dealer perspective, right, is, having the fundamental idea of what challenges your dealership is facing, what your group is facing, what your individual store is facing. And being proactive with it, right? Reaching out to guys in your 20 group, reaching out to your dealer friends, reaching out to anyone and everyone, and just grab that information. See what they've done in the past. See who their providers are what their providers are doing for them, basically, right? And really kind of setting up your show. It's just the same way for a dealer wanting to have a really effective show and having a good show and having a really good time and taking a lot away from it, from the information that is all shared there. is knowing who you want to go see. What problem are you looking to solve? Who are the vendors you think you're targeting? Reach out to those vendors proactively. Figure out what they do. Are they a good fit? Meet with them at the show. There's going to be a lot of decision makers for both dealerships and the vendor side. Mm-hmm. You can get a really good feel about who you're doing business with by, sitting down, so to speak, and breaking bread with them at the show, because you don't get to typically meet some of these people on the vendor or the dealer side, and they all get together in a single room at one point. So that's my advice to a lot of dealers is be prepared, know what problems you're looking to solve, have a list of vendors or whoever it is that you're looking to help you with that problem and find a solution for it. And ultimately just have fun, enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's the who, what, why, when, where. Mm-hmm. Know who you need to see, know why you need to see them, know where to go. Just prepare yourself. There's so much opportunity in the car business right now, and it's evolving technologically faster than it really ever has. Other industries kind of surpass the car business in technology, but what we're bringing to the table now is just really game changing for the dealers and how they measure their profit. That's looking at your bank account essentially on what you're paying, selling, and how you measure that, your risk to reward, your ROI, so on. I just go on, but that's the real thing. Is Taylor nailed it. Just be prepared. Know what problem you're trying to solve. If you're short on inventory, you need a better place to buy. Well, know where you're going to go find out that information. If you need a better way to evaluate a car, if you need a better way to syndicate a car, if you're looking for better advertising portals, just know what you need. It's know your problem. And that way we can help you find a solution. And that's best for everybody.
Right. Yeah. And kind of building off of that, you have 10 plus years of going to NADA, or is it more than that?
Well, let's just, I'm a pretty young buck.
Yeah, you're an NADA veteran.
Let's just say I'm a young buck. Yeah, I've been a few times. Let's just call it that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So with your experience and your expertise and everything of that nature, some of the, when we talk about vendors, and even when we look at the dealerships going, they're going to be sending new GMs, new sales managers, younger people. So what are some of the pieces of advice that you've picked up that help you avoid some of the pitfalls of such a large event like NADA? Because we all know the parties are hopping. I think this year they've got Nelly playing at one of the parties, and they've had Vanilla Ice and all of that stuff. So what are some of your tips and tricks to stay on task and not get distracted by all the shiny things that are going off around us?
Well, have an IV set up in your hotel room after you go out and party, and then that way you're fresh the next day. Just kidding. That's not bad advice, by the way. But I would say really network. Taylor says that this is the only opportunity you may get to network with individuals that you don't typically see. And that's a fact. I mean, if you wanted to network with our CEO, he's going to be in our booth.
Sure.
The opportunity to network with him and how much time he has in a day and what he works on, there just isn't enough hours in the day to spend nights and weekends and stuff like that with the clients that we'd love to spend our time with. But if you wanted to meet him, for the perfect example, and, say hello, shake a hand, introduce yourself, know who you're working with, this is the chance. So I would recommend that in every booth, every vendor. We can all make money, but we can't replace our time. We can't replace our friendships. We can't replace our relationships. And the core of the car business is really, truly your relationships, who you know, what you can get done, what you know about the car business. You'll go into one dealership, they will have no clue on how simple syndication can be. They'll be struggling and fighting through that. So that could simplify their life and open up their staff to do a lot of things quicker and have more time to actually make money and spend their time more wisely during the day. And NADA is the place to get that information, to meet those people, to make those relationships, to simplify your dealership and be more profitable, and make relationships with CEOs and VPs and things like that. So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I know one of the things that they do typically every year at NADA is there's a opening procession, some kind of a band. In New Orleans, it was very New Orleans-esque. In Vegas, it's always a little eccentric. I can't remember what they did in San Francisco. You personally have experience living in Dallas. What do you think is on tap for our procession this year at NADA?
Oh, man. That's a good question.
Dallas Cowboys cheerleader and band.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know. It's Romo throwing a football across the whole convention center.
See, I was thinking more Chuck Norris walking through in his Walker Texas Ranger outfit.
That's
on the
a
horse.
That's a possibility. We really don't know.
Hell, they might even just have the Longhorn Stampede right through.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
could be barricades in the running with the Bulls.
Yes. Dallas is an interesting thing. Just from my time living there was, I come from a small podunk cow town in Colorado. 2,000 people. It's the same 2,000 people that were there when I grew up there to this day. Going from that to Dallas is such a melting pot. I mean, you get 6.5, 7 million people in a city.
Sure.
In one city, it's 90 miles from tip to tip. You can be driving for 2 hours at 75 miles an hour and not leave an actual city. So, there's a lot of different stuff there. You go to the west side, it's very much West Texas-esque in the Fort Worth area. You go into Dallas, it's ritzy, it's glam. There's a lot of money there, and they like to spend it and flaunt it, and it's fun. Sure. And then, there's just the normal blue-collar people everywhere you go throughout all the different neighborhoods.
Right.
So I'd like to see personally the Texas Stampede. I think that'd be fantastic.
That would be cool.
Be crazy.
As long as they don't go right past our booth with the Bulls or someone's shoveling the manure afterwards.
Yeah.
Gets a little smelly.
I grew up in a cow town.
All right.
Fun.
Well, as we close this show, what are you, we're in a new year. Obviously, we know markets are a little crazy and everything like that. You've got a lot of experience. You went through 08. You were obviously with Dealerslink in 08, but you've been through a lot of different aspects of ups and downs and, hot climates and cold climates in the auto industry. What do you think is really on deck for the next year? If you were to give a forecast, best estimate.
My forecast is the franchises will get more aggressive for interest rate, and I'm going to predict that there's going to be programmings coming back to the table. As the dealerships start to fill up with new vehicles again, there's going to be incentives to move those. And right now, the hairiest thing in the market is probably the interest rate. The interest rate's pretty aggressive. And if your average vehicle's up there in the $70,000,
$50,000,
$70,000 is really not uncommon. Yeah. Once you bump that rate 3 points and you make that an 84-month loan, that payment gets a little tougher. And people that are a little wiser with their money are kind of like, let's just wait and see.
Right.
Especially if you have a 2-3-year-old vehicle that's not dying and you would like to upgrade just to have a new vehicle.
Right.
It's going to stifle that still. So I see the incentives coming really hard. The EV thing's pushing. I've watched dealers, they're liquidating stores because they don't want to fight the EV thing. I've got other dealers that are trying to buy stores because they're all about the EV thing. Right. So I think that's going to be a telltale of what we do in the industry moving forward, is how the EV shakes down and how the legislation handles that through, I don't want to get political here, but it's really something on deck that's something that we're facing in the next, 12 to 18 months is a real reality. So that's what I see. I see incentives coming back stronger. I see people trying to push the rates down as the franchises to get people incentivized to buy again, carrying their own paper per se, in the capacity that they can. So that's kind of the 60,000 foot view. We could dissect that and unpackage it a little different. But
we might be here all day.
There's a lot to talk
all week.
about.
We don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Are we going to Google something and really dig in?
Because if it's on Google, it has to be true, right?
Oh, yeah. It's on the internet. It's gossip.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
And my favorite one now is, social media is becoming so big. We've got TikTok, we got Facebook, we got Instagram, all of these other social media platforms. And there's a lot of information that's going on out there. There's a lot of good information, a lot of bad information, and consumers specifically, but dealers need to be aware too that there's people out there that are giving consumers bad information. And so these difficult interactions that dealers are having with customers expecting to not pay a down payment because they feel like it's against the law, it's against some code, etc., or they shouldn't be doing this, that, or the other. And a lot of it is just misinformation based on social media. So they can utilize social media, but they have to be aware as well, and it does play into, the interest rates and the price of vehicles. Yeah. Well, the customer is already looking at high priced, high interest rate. Now they feel like they can go in there and get away from a down payment, right? So how would you, specifically speaking to you, Taylor, how would you suggest a dealer utilize the information that is on the internet that is true and help dispel the internet or the information that's not true?
Yeah, I think going back to kind of like what you asked Travis, right? Areas that I think dealers can excel and grow in 2023. And I think we saw this really come out of the last 2 years has been dealers kind of galvanizing themselves with their customer base. It went so far in one direction on the full digital online purchase, buy a car in your PJs, we'll ship it to your door kind of model, to coming back to dealers actually engaging with the community, engaging with their customer base, letting them know they're still people, they're still individuals. They're here to help them.
Right.
You buy a car online from some big e-retailer. Who do you call? Who do you service it with when you don't get to your temp tags for 90, 100, 6 months?
Sure. Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest benefit for dealers right now is continue to galvanize with their customer base, continue to reach out, continue to sponsor events, engage with your community, donate to charities, whatever it is, whatever that capacity is. I think that's where the dealer community really shines.
Right.
Is they're some of the biggest business entities that boost their communities the most.
Sure.
Some of these towns, they're the biggest employers. They're the biggest contributors to all the different social programs. Don't be afraid to put your name on it.
The tax revenue and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big driver for a lot of these economies, the automotive business. And, I think that's where dealers have done a really good job. And I'd like to see them kind of continue that, using some of the new social tools, using some of the new technology that's out there to help build that brand, build that awareness, and dispel some of that information just by purely showing their customer base and regular consumers that they're not out to get them. Right. So I think that's the biggest piece I see going forward into 2023 is dealers really engaging with their customer base and getting back to the way business was for person to person. Come in, we'll show you around.
Right.
Yeah. Do a good walk around on the car. Do a good walk around on the dealership. Show them where they can get their parts, how their service is going to happen, what's going to go on. I have a lot of people that contact me like, let me look in your tools, see the cheapest, lowest price one, and I want to go after that. And it's like, well, do you just want to use Quick Lube to service the vehicle and Jim's Auto Repair, or do you want a dealership to stand behind it? Is saving $1,200 really worth cutting out your local dealer? Is it worth trying to cut that guy's throat to go to another market to play in the race to the bottom to buy the cheapest vehicle when you don't have anybody to support you? You don't have a salesman that you can call, and you don't have a service department that has your back if you need a loan or something goes on, or that vehicle actually turns out to be a turd or something that the other dealer didn't know that sold it, or is a bad trade-in, or is a flood vehicle from Florida that came back into the market through the gray market, and just all of those things. There's so many variables, and the dealer can support them. So I'm with Taylor on that. Just really coring in and being a good job, doing a good job as a car dealer in the community. They contribute so much. And this looming thing that car dealers are horrible is just a crock of malarkey. They're some of the best people that I know in the industry from tip to tail. So
absolutely. 100%. And I think that, that makes a lot of sense. There is social media, and we have seen many times over since social media became a thing, Facebook and Instagram, that, you can either use it to your advantage or it can be a disadvantage to you because you're not utilizing it. If somebody wants to go out there and put out bad information or false information, or they want to make it to where, let's say Carvana or Vroom or any of these other big players in the e-retailing space just continue to go out and flood these social media platforms with the dealer's a hassle, this is a hassle, come through us, this, and the stigma is overall it is enforced. But what the dealership community does best is they adapt. There's changes. They make changes quick. If something is not right, they make it right. And 95 to 98% of the time, there's not a single customer out there that's got a problem with a car dealer until that customer didn't get the result that they wanted in most cases, right? Now, every once in a while, there's those situations, but I completely agree with you guys. Use the power of social media. Get with your community. Make sure that they know you care about them and you're not at the Wall Street Stock Exchange cashing in your billions while your customer base is waiting for titles or whatever the case is, right? So, as we close out the show, I want to thank both of you for your time. I want to say thank you guys for paying attention and attending our podcast today. Remember, Dealerslink is going to be attending 2023 NADA in Dallas. Our booth number is going to be 407. You're not going to be able to miss us. We're right at the beginning of the show, right at the entrance.
Right, and we're right in front of the VIP dealer lounge, so where the dealers get to go and have their lounge and everything. We'll be right at the entrance of that. We'll be spinning the cash wheels. We'll be, doing the Plinko for our current customers. We'll have the cash cannon. We'll be blasting. We'll be having a lot of fun at the booth. We always have a lot of fun, and we hope everybody stops by and visits and partakes in that.
Absolutely.
We'll get some business done too, but by God, we're going to have fun.
Yeah, and for those of you who've never been to a NADA or a Dealerslink booth at NADA, by all means, this guy right here is the master of the leaf blower. We will stuff money into that, and we will blow it all at your face if you should choose to take that punishment. Whatever you catch, you get to keep, so that's up to you guys. Booth number 407, NADA 2023 in Dallas. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us today for another great episode of Dashboard Dialogues. You can follow and listen to Dashboard Dialogues on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Also, remember to follow our socials on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.